I wasn't always the kind of guy who sat quietly in the back of the room, analyzing everything and everyone like a stranger in his own story. But after what happened with Rachel and Derek, I started to think that maybe silence is the most honest thing a person can offer the world. Before the betrayal, before the money, before I learned what peace really felt like, I was just me. Ordinary. Loyal. Maybe too loyal. A hoodie-wearing, ramen-slurping tech nerd who believed that love was supposed to be the one safe thing in life. Rachel was the exact opposite. A brilliant chaos of ambition, beauty, and confidence. She walked into a room like she owned the floor, and somehow, without ever meaning to, she pulled you into her orbit. We met at a birthday party for a mutual friend in downtown LA. I was by the beer cooler, texting my co-founder about a database bug, when she tapped me on the shoulder. "You're wearing sneakers to a rooftop bar," she said, smiling. "That's bold." I looked up. She was in this burnt orange jumpsuit and heels that probably cost more than my monthly rent at the time. But it wasn't her outfit that got me, it was her eyes. Bright. Restless. Like she was always one step ahead of wherever she stood. I laughed awkwardly. "You know, I didn't get the memo that this was a runway event." "Maybe you didn't need one," she said. "You kind of look like a genius trying not to be recognized." That was the start. We talked for hours that night. She asked about my startup. Most people's eyes glazed over after the word analytics, but she actually listened. I asked about her PR work. She had this dream of starting her own media firm, helping women of color break into brand marketing. She talked big, but she meant every word. And I loved that. A month later, we were inseparable. We moved in together 6 months after meeting. Maybe too soon, but it felt right. Our apartment was small, studio, no view, but she made it feel like home. Plants in the windows, candles that smelled like pine and honey, and always some new throw pillow she found at a pop-up market. Money was tight. I was pouring everything I had into the startup, trying to build a back-end analytics engine for mid-size e-commerce companies. My co-founder, Miguel, was in New York, so we worked remotely. Rachel picked up freelance PR gigs and spent weekends filming content for her growing Instagram following. We weren't living lavishly, but we were building something, together. We'd eat instant noodles at midnight, laugh about our shared poverty, and daydream about our future. She used to say, "When you sell your first company, we're buying an island." I'd laugh and say, "Sure, but you're in charge of PR for it." We had love, and love was enough. Also, I thought. As her following grew, 10K, then 30K, then 70K, Rachel started getting attention. Free clothes, event invites, sponsored posts. I was happy for her. I really was. But something changed. She started talking about branding everything, our apartment, our weekends, even our relationship. At first, it was cute. Then it started to feel like we were just content for her feed. She posted photos of our breakfasts but stopped asking how I slept. She talked about couple goals while I spent nights alone debugging code. When I mentioned stress, she'd wave it off. "You just need a better work-life balance." But I wasn't working for a balance. I was working for our future. Then Derek started coming around again. Derek had been my best friend since middle school. We were opposites, which made us good together. I was quiet, steady. He was all charm and swagger. He had big dreams and no filter. A different job every year. A new woman every month. Still, I loved him like a brother. He and Rachel didn't get along at first. She said he was too much. He said she was trying too hard. But over time, that friction turned into something else. Friendly jabs. Lingering looks. Private conversations that paused when I entered the room. I noticed. I told myself I was being paranoid. I wasn't. It was a Thursday night. Rachel was in the shower. Her phone was on the counter, buzzing. I glanced down, not intending to snoop. The preview read, "Still thinking about last night. You looked amazing, Derek." My chest hollowed out. My hands trembled. I unlocked the phone. What I saw will never leave me. Weeks of texts, photos, voice notes, inside jokes at my expense, conversations about my pathetic little startup, jokes about how I still drove a 2009 Corolla. Rachel wrote, "He doesn't even realize he's not what I want anymore." I stared at those words for what felt like hours. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I packed a duffel bag and walked out. That night, I slept in my car. Not because I had to, but because I couldn't breathe inside that apartment anymore. She called. I let it ring. She texted. I blocked her. Derek? He didn't even bother. That silence told me everything. I moved into a co-living space downtown. Tiny room, shared kitchen, for other guys grinding through startups or creative projects. It wasn't glamorous, but it was clean. It was mine. I buried myself in work. I woke up at 6 a.m. Went for runs. Meditated. Worked 14-hour days. I learned to code better, faster. Miguel and I rebuilt our product from scratch, pivoted twice, and found a niche, performance analytics for subscription e-commerce. We launched version 3 of our platform in March. By June, we were pulling in $80,000 MRR. By November, we hit $150,000. I started getting DMs from investors. We didn't need them, we were profitable. But I stayed quiet. No LinkedIn posts. No victory laps. I wasn't building this for applause. I was building it because I refused to let that betrayal be the end of my story. One afternoon, I saw Rachel in a YouTube interview, some influencer channel. She wore a white dress and talked about healing from toxic relationships. She said leaving her last partner helped her grow. She never mentioned my name. But she didn't have to. That night, I opened my laptop and bought the domain for a brand new venture, a mentorship platform for early-stage startup founders. I didn't want to just make money anymore, I wanted to give people what I never had. Someone who believed in them. I hired 2 employees. We built a coaching framework. I partnered with 2 VCs to run workshops. I mentored dozens of founders, especially those from overlooked backgrounds. We charged a premium and paid it forward. By the time I turned 32, I had 2 companies running, fully remote, grossing just over $500,000 a year in income. And I was still driving that 2009 Corolla. One day, a friend tagged me in a wedding photo on Instagram. Derek and Rachel. They got married. It was a beach ceremony. Lavish. Branded. A hashtag and everything. She wore white again. He wore a smirk I knew too well. I looked at that photo for a long time. And then I closed the app. 6 months later, I bumped into Rachel at a tech mixer in Santa Monica. She looked surprised. A little thinner. Less polished than I remembered. "I didn't know you'd be here," she said. I smiled. Neither did I. She asked how I was. I told her. Lightly. Briefly. Her eyes widened a little. "Wow. You did it." "Yeah," I said. Quietly. There was a pause. The kind that fills every corner of a room. "I've been following some of your stuff," she said. "The mentorship thing. That's really cool. Thanks." Another pause. "You ever wonder what would have happened if we'd?" "No," I said gently. "I don't." And I meant it. I walked away. Outside, I stood on the curb, watching the sunset drip gold across the ocean. The wind was soft. My phone buzzed with a Slack notification. Business could wait. I drove home. Made dinner. Called my mom. Read for an hour. Slept in peace. Sometimes people think revenge is this loud, glorious thing. But the truth is, the real revenge is becoming so deeply content with your own life that you don't even remember what their absence feels like. That's what I built. And I built it from ashes.